And the one guy we had to have to do the show was Wayne Gretzky, who joins us right now. Wayne, if we were doing this interview 25 years ago at exactly this time, what would you have been thinking and feeling?
Before game one, I really felt confident about our team. I felt like that we were in a really good position with Grant Fuhr in goal and Messier playing as good a hockey as he's ever played, and Mario, an up-and-coming star in the game of hockey. And to leave game one losing 6-5 was, I got to admit, very disheartening.
Okay, so I want to ask you about Mario Lemieux. Mike Keenan said that you took Lemieux under your wing to make him a better player in the tournament, but also to push you in the NHL. Is that true?
I think it was a combination. I think in 1981, I had the really good fortune of playing with Guy Lafleur. And I like to think that Guy Lafleur taught me and helped me a lot. But I like to think in some ways maybe I helped Guy Lafleur, because I know in '87, as much as Lafleur had taught me that I passed on to Mario, I'd like to think Mario helped me quite a bit too. So that's one of the great things about Canadian hockey. The guys from the '72 team helped the '76 team, the '81, and it just keeps going on and on. And the history of our game is what makes it so special.
But in the history of our game, you have to talk about this combination. Never happened before, never happened since. Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky playing together. Now, you guys played together on the power play and 4-on-4, but it wasn't until the finals that Mike Keenan put you guys together on a line. People had been begging for it. So here's the question. What were you thinking, feeling when you guys were put together for the first time?
We understood because, you know, myself was a centerman and Mario was really a centerman and Messier was a centerman. At that time, Brent Sutter was one of our best centermen. So we never really sort of questioned it. We never really thought about it. And then it was Mike that sort of sat down and said, okay, I'm going to sort of divide things up a little more and put a little bit more concentration on offense and put Wayne and Mario together. I'm going to have Mark Messier be more of a sort of a specialist defensively with Sutter. And so he kind of defined our roles later on in the tournament. And part of that is to do with good coaching. You know, you learn with the players that you have, and you can't make those decisions overnight. And so Mike waited to sort of near the end of that tournament and decided to make that decision to put us together at that time.
And that changed everything. Many say this was the greatest atmosphere ever. Did you see it that way?
Well, '87 after we won, and you know, the atmosphere is great when you win. It was very depressing after game one when we lost 6-5. And when we did win, I mean, first of all, game two and game three in Hamilton were so phenomenal. I remember driving to game two thinking, wow, you know, Maple Leaf Gardens to me was everything. I loved playing in there, and that was my favorite arena. And I would be lying if I didn't say, you know, Hamilton was not Maple Leaf Gardens. And then after game two, I remember thinking, wow, the emotion and the energy in that arena was so good and so exciting, and probably so much better for hockey that we're selling the sport to a non-NHL city. So, as I said to guys after game three, I'm not sure that we'll ever duplicate 1972, but that's probably as close as we'll ever get to the excitement and the emotion, not only from the players, the fans in the arena, and the fans who watched it on TV.
Was this your best hockey ever?
It was by far the best hockey I ever played. Partly because of the competition. That was right before communism fell. It was right before those players were allowed to play in the NHL. Guys like Kamensky, guys like Larionov, guys like Fedosov, Krutov, Makarov, they went on to come to the National Hockey League and be a big part of our game. Before then, they played 11 months of the year together. We were thrown together for 5 weeks. So from our point of view, I thought all of our players went to another level, and that's why we won.
Let's break some new ground. Tell us about the barbecue you had at your house with the KLM line and a few others.
Yeah, that was really curious because I actually got to know Slava Fedosov in 1981 when I went to the Soviet Union to visit Tretiak. I knew him a little bit, and then 1984 I got to know Larionov, and I was kind of surprised and a little bit in shock. At that time, there was still this barrier between sort of communism and capitalism, and I didn't really even understand or know that Igor spoke solid English. And we became friends and got to know each other in 1984. And so when I saw him in '87 and there was a gap in the schedule before the tournament actually started, I had invited him to dinner, and at that point in time he said, you know, can the 5 guys come, the entire line, the entire unit? And then he asked if Tikhonov could come, and I said absolutely. So we ended up having one of the very nice moments in history before the Soviet Union fell. Those guys got a chance to come over and see where we lived and how we grew up, and we just barbecued steaks out in the backyard. It was really a fun time for all of us, not only for them, but we enjoyed it also.
So, Wayne, we're showing game number 1 tonight. What do you remember from that game that none of us could possibly know?
Well, I remember game 1. I remember every game. But we were winning 5-4, and they tied it up. I believe they tied it up late in the game to make it 5-5, if I'm correct. We lost 6-5 in overtime, or late we lost 6-5. And I remember my dad telling me that we lost. It was my fault because my shift was too long. So I was getting on the airplane going to Hamilton for game 2 with my dad telling me that really we'd lost the game because it was my fault. So that's what I remember specifically about game 1.
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.